up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Jensen away. Pat Richards has scored.
Hello there and welcome. Finally, we got round one. And as with me, as always, it's my co-host, Aaron. Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? Especially when you get the first game of the weekend, and then you win, and life is good. Just watching the other. I find it relaxing myself. That's just me, but yeah. Though it was pretty decent against the Storm, though, I have to admit. Hi, NSL. How do you... Yes, we've missed having everyone around. How did you feel about your interesting game on the weekend? It was the craziest game I've ever seen. It was all over the place. Alright guys, strap in. We're having a very, very long stream. Yep, that's it. First ever 365-day long stream. Let's go. But it always goes so quick. Like, NSL, do you reckon South should target Storm's defense move on the left edge on Thursday? Yeah, they're not as... I mean, I don't know, you can see they're not as good as they were. But at the same time, it's round one. Like, you know, in a couple of weeks, it's like they're going to have you back. They're going to work on everything. Like, I don't know. They're too good a club not to come good. Though, in saying that, the Tigers did play really well. Contrary to the discussion I had with your mate, Rob, from the West Life podcast. I hope he didn't take offense at the way he was like agree to disagree, and I kind of felt a bit more like he was worried it was like an argument or something, and I don't know, from my point of view it was just discussing football, you know, the stuff we love. I just legitimately think they were better than, you know, like before that game, no one's expectation would be the Tigers would beat the Storm, right? Like how many people would have tipped them? 14, I guess, or whatever the number was that you said before the stream. I still can't believe people got a perfect round. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's interesting. He said, I still think Ilias needs to take time. He'll get there. Trust me. Oh, of course he will. I mean, what? He's only had a couple games. Like, he's not, you know, like any young bloke. I mean, they're all potential at the moment.
A bit having Taff out as well.
NSL said he couldn't hear you. Is that better? Is it on your end or mine? There are too many buttons to this thing.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know. Sing the national anthem or something.
Oh, he can hear me now. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was gonna say, I'll maybe sing the Tigers song when they win.
I don't even know what song they sing when they... Oh, the one
so
in the sheds.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one in the sheds. I know that one.
I was going to say, oh my God, that is so bad. Tigers people have forgotten it.
No, I mean, like, they're like different ones, because I know Souths, not Souths. I mean, the Panthers have a different like thing that plays in the stadium when they win that compared to
I know what you mean.
What they sing when they get into the sheds. Yeah, that's what I was on about.
We just have to sing them all then. That's our sound test for today. Yeah, so technical difficulties aside, now we're good.
Who are we?
Who let the Tigers out? Who remembers that?
I sing it, you repeat it.
But yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, now that you actually can be heard, is that discussion on there. Not many people would have picked the Tigers. I think I was the only human in the world who picked them by 4, and that was more because I'm a hard overhead tipper anyway. But that was probably the best they've played in like 2 years, and that's what I said to him. Like, they met his expectations in. And what I was talking about was on the Westlife pod. He basically said he wasn't expecting to really win much. He wanted to see improvement, and I think they gave him that. And he said they didn't meet his expectations, but I think they did. I'm talking about expectations pre-game, obviously.
I think it was more so once we got in the lead, the expectation was that we would keep the lead and not collapse in a pile of crap.
But I don't think they really did. The Storm, they scored a couple of tries off the backs of penalties. So even if you want to say, look, really, you've got to just tighten up a little bit of discipline there. I mean, okay, you're still against one of the best teams to ever take the field in the last like 10 years. Like, it's, you know, it's not exactly like a big offense to concede a try. Hey, AJ Mullins is here. It's all good.
Hey,
Better
AJ.
late than never. We're just happy to have you.
Happy for the listenership.
Yeah.
I hope everyone remembers to like and subscribe and comment once the stream concludes.
Yeah, and tell other people to come and watch too.
Invite your friends. It's a party.
Yeah. Exactly. We get to talk to Aaron about how his team lost again.
Again.
I don't even know what.
Hopefully, it's not the story of the season.
I don't even know what losing is. What is that?
Yeah, shush you.
I think they said it the other day, and I didn't really believe it. They said we've lost like 6 games or something in 2 years, and I'm like, something along those lines. I'm like, is that real? No, because we used to be like the Tigers. Like we were both just middle of the table teams. We make finals sometimes not. You know, premiership once every 20 years or whatever. I don't know. It's highly unusual to be in the position we are. It feels great. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's new. I'm learning. I'll ask some Storm fans. What's it like?
Ask the Roosters fans.
Yeah, I'll do a poll of Roosters and Storm fans. Hey guys, what is it like to win all the time? How do you keep doing this? How do you pace yourself for a whole season?
I think the thing about our game against the Storm that ticked me off the most was the fact that once the Storm leveled it up at 16 all, we only got one ref/bunker call go our way, and that was a penalty with 2 minutes left on the clock when we were already behind by 10 and no hope of winning at that point. So
yeah,
that was the part that frustrated me the most. I left the ground so ticked off at that part of it, because it's like, at least make it fair. There were a lot of sets late in that game within like the last 8 or so minutes where the Storm were just constantly laying over us in tackles.
Oh, I said that to the wife when I was watching. I was like, man, the Storm are really good at, they do this tangle thing where like, and it happens constantly if you watch. It could just be, I don't know, and I don't know if it happens. It could be even happen with us. Maybe all the good teams are doing it. I'm not sure, but they get like tangled up in the tackle, and they sort of pull themselves away, and it takes that extra couple of seconds, and they don't get called for it because it all, I don't know. It's really interesting. But like people last year said that we were really slow in tackles, so maybe it's one of those things where you just really have to get good at finding the line where the refs are going to call it and start playing on it.
The favoured teams are also getting away with it a lot more than the others.
Well, I wonder how much that is true, because I've heard a lot of things. Like I don't know, maybe it's a fan thing people say or in the media, but apparently, like if you've got like a top team versus a bottom team, the refs have this sort of unconscious bias in there that the top team will be more disciplined. So
we'll kind of
go back to
the Eels Titans game for a sec. A lot of the things that the Eels got away with late in that game, the Titans wouldn't have, and teams like the Tigers wouldn't have as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those things. I didn't see that whole game because I spent most of it in the emergency room at hospital. But from what I did see, I was very frustrated on behalf of the Titans fans because it looked pretty bad. Just in my opinion, it didn't look great.
Yeah, the Sunday was a bit shoddy. I don't know. Maybe they're just getting the rust out or something. I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, hey, we usually say the first couple of rounds of players are a bit rusty in that. So I guess we've got to give the refs a bit of credit there too. I mean, they're just getting back into it, and they've got an incredibly ridiculous job to do too. I think we definitely forget how much they've got to. They've pretty much got to see everything, do everything, and be perfect. So I don't know. We'll see how they go over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully it just evens out and improves the standard a bit. Because I mean, just generally, I thought even the teams, I think there were maybe 3 teams over the weekend that looked genuinely polished. You look at that game, the first half with the Eels Titans, it was like essentially a high level under 20s game, in the old under 20s where you get scorelines at like 50-40 or whatever. Like defense didn't exist. Oh yeah, AJ
the old Holden Cup, the under 20s.
Yeah, like AJ said, the Eels Titans game was terrible defense. Wasn't even a thought. Exactly, like it's I would not be surprised to have seen that end 51-50 or something, and you're like tackling's optional.
Dad was driving me back to his place from hospital early in the second half, and I said to him, "Do you reckon the combined score's going to outrun the clock?" Because it was looking like that was the way it was going to go. In the end, it didn't, but would have been funny if it did.
Yeah. The second half tied it up a bit, though.
Yeah.
So I guess the coaches probably gave him a bit. I can't imagine either coach would have stood for that. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, both coaches probably would have done a Bellamy.
Yeah. And Brad Arthur doesn't come across as the most chill guy ever. Like, not as a coach, at least.
It was, I'd say, that game was definitely not to the game plan of either coach.
Well, no, if defense wins premierships, that's...
And you're both conceding 5 tries in a game. Yeah, that's a lot of tries to be conceding if you're trying to win a premiership.
And yeah, I mean, especially for the Eels, like they're hoping to be a top 4 team, right? The Titans were 8th last year.
Yeah.
So
8th with a 10-14 record.
That's my point. So that's even more worrying for the Eels than it is for the Titans, because the Titans would expect to concede some points against a team, that many places ahead of them. So you got like 4 places ahead of them or whatever they ended up. Yes. Our game on the Thursday. We'll go back to that since that was first. Which, thank you, NRL, for making me sit up really late. Why can't
worth
they consider?
It though, I guess
it's massively worth it, but why can't they think of my work schedule when they do the draw? I mean, they didn't even ask me.
Bloody bastards!
I know,
How
it's
dare
rude. I'm writing a letter about this. But no, it was really awesome. Like, it's funny, I came out of that game, like, most of the time, as fans, we always have like at least one player we want to criticize. It's just sort of in our nature as NRL fans, I guess.
You didn't have any?
But not really. I came away genuinely just contented. And I don't know, Manly fatigued really early, which I think helped us look even better. I don't know what happened there. Manly looked absolutely buggered, like halfway through the first half. And
I do like how Manly fans like to say they aren't a one-player team, but I think they proved on the weekend that they were a one-player team, because Trebojevic was extremely limited, and as you see, they only scored 1 try.
Well, that's
you
it.
guys scored, 4 tries, and I think you had another 2 or 3 disallowed.
That's exactly it. I mean, he got shut down, and then they got shut down, but like, remember I said before the game, I said we win, and you were like, oh, you don't have anything clear. Remember I said the forwards, we have them in the forwards easily, and then you ended up saying,
I still tipped you.
Yeah, and then you ended up tipping us and said, you'd probably be swayed on that forward battle, and that's exactly what happened. You cannot be a one-player team. And then we had that stream a couple of weeks ago, and I read through their draw last year and all their results to prove the point. They do not have a good record against the top 4. And I don't know what they're going to do. They've got to fix it. They're just, I don't know if they want to win a comp, which of course everyone does, and they have the ability if they just switch on a little bit. All that talk of fastest backline in the comp, our back 3 ran for like double the meters, give or take. Like, it was insane,
being fast
the difference.
Is one thing. You've actually got to have the ball first.
Like, they ran, I think, for a total of like 300 meters or something. Ours ran for like 600 or 700 meters. No, it's Like, it was ridiculous.
Apples
The
or
difference.
oranges.
Yeah. I mean, and the overall run meters were blown out massively too, like 1,000. It was like they ran for a kilometer more almost, pretty much. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see us come up against someone a bit better, I think. I don't know. I was disappointed from the Manly side. I was hoping they were going to be better. I don't know what they did over the preseason. Maybe they spent too much time at KFC or something.
I'll ask you one thing though. How nervous were you at halftime when Manly got that try right before halftime?
I wasn't really. Simply because it was Sutherland running out of the line. They got a bit of a gap and took advantage of it. Like it wasn't through specifically great football that they got that try. Like if they gained momentum and started really hammering us at the end of the half, then I would have been a bit more stressed out because like, oh, hang on, they turned up here and it just took them a minute to get going. But
yeah, that was an absolutely horrid defensive read by O'Sullivan.
Yeah, and it was really the only really bad one we had all night. So it's not like, whatever. I'll take one. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just I
think you only conceded on average like 1.6 tries a year last year or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we had I think it was 12 points or less was our average against or something. I don't know. It was a club record, I'm pretty sure.
Probably which close to a competition record.
Yeah, which is actually funny considering all the talks of attacking football being the dominant thing now in the V'landys era.
Yeah, it was. Well, I guess it was not really unexpected from your boys, but
yeah. Oh, AJ Mullen says I was a bit disappointed. Twal only played 47 minutes too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's the starting prop. He might be better as the impact off the bench. We'll see that this week with Tamo coming back into the team.
That's what I was about to say. Didn't Tamo come back because he had that 1 game suspension for basically murdering Walker, which was a really bad tackle.
Collins got nothing for the cannonball.
Oh, don't even get me freaking started on that.
And now Liero's got nothing for his cannonball on Luciano as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, how are they not going after this tackle? Like,
they really need to.
Yeah, just before this, I watched the little segment on NRL 360 about that, and I can't believe I don't think I've ever agreed with NRL 360 more, where they're like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, yeah, what the hell is going on? Like, this can be either season ending or career ending. I mean, I'm pretty sure Seyfarth had his season ended last year from it.
He did, or I don't think he had it ended. I think he came back a few weeks later.
Oh,
yeah, he
okay.
came back a few weeks later, underdone, and made it a little bit worse, and that ended his season. And that was Alohier who was the culprit there, and I don't know if he got suspended.
Which is ironic. But yeah, so I mean, it's
O'Shea Ole.
Yeah, it's one of the worst tackles in the game, and they want to, keep up this big stink about player welfare. Yet, what the hell are they doing on this? I don't get it. I really don't understand that. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, we'll put him on report. No, I would just straight send him off. I would just
let's see if it changes when one of the big 6 teams loses a player to injury because of a cannonball tackle.
Yeah, well,
then the big one can be left.
The big one is the Roosters. Wait for Trent Robinson to say something about it, and then the NRL will have a look.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, in all seriousness, I think now that has been on one of the big broadcaster shows like Fox, and they're talking about it, I think now it'll start spreading a bit, and the NRL will go, oh, hang on a minute.
Word of mouth will.
Yeah, because that usually is what precedes it. You'll either hear it on either 9 or Fox, the broadcasters where they'll mention something and then that'll precede the discussion behind closed doors in the NRL. Then you'll hear something about it and then they'll do a crackdown for 3 weeks. Then they'll forget about it and say, yay, we fixed it. Game's all sorted. And
then they'll go back to their old ways.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We all saw it with the head-eye crackdown last year, remember?
The cycle of the NRL.
I don't know. That doesn't... it's so weird to me. But yeah.
Yeah, $1,000. $1,000 fine is not a punishment. Should be sent off and 1 to 2 weeks. I would be leaning towards maybe not a send off. I'd say definitely a sin bin. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, send offs are those tricky ones. It's like, what's a send off? What's a sin bin? Where do you draw the line? How's that line drawn? But yeah, a fine is definitely not enough of a deterrent, especially not $1,000 fine.
Yeah, no, that's... I mean, look how much they get paid.
I was about to say, you look at a player like Cherry Evans. If he cops $1,000 fine, that's not even 1% of his bloody salary. So,
yeah,
it needs to be something more. But anyway,
yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the Broncos Rabbitohs? Because I think that's one of the ones that nobody would have seen coming. That's what I was thinking of before when I got mixed up with your game.
Let's start by asking the question: where the hell has Kurt Capewell hidden his kicking boots until now?
Beats me. We're gonna have to ask him next week. Catbros interrogate Kurt Capewell about kicking.
Yeah, that was very unexpected. I was driving up to Sydney while that game was on, and I just could not believe what I was hearing.
Listening on the radio or something.
Yeah, to ABC Grandstand. Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That was absolutely wild. I guess South Sydney really were missing Adam Reynolds, and I'd say Latrell Mitchell to an extent as well, because
how can you not? I mean, look at the quality of those guys.
Walker, Reynolds, and Latrell had some pretty good combos going.
Yeah. But just generally, like, Broncos looked like the better team pretty much for the whole game.
They really did. And Justin, if he was here, he'd be raving right now.
I know. It's so disappointing. I'm like, Justin, we're raving about your team. What are you not doing? You're missing it. You'll come back after they lose or something. And we're like, man, you missed out.
Tell you what, though, the Broncos have a really good chance to start the season 4-0 after that.
Justin's here. Speak of the
devil.
devil.
There you are, Justin. Yeah, we were talking about you. We're talking about your team. We're saying all the good things.
Yes, premiership favourites now.
I reckon you can start the season 4-0 now, so looking at the next 3 weeks of your draw, you've got it relatively easy before you play, I think it's the Roosters, so.
Which, imagine if the Broncos start 4-0.
And they go into a game with the Roosters, and they'll, of course, be ahead of the Roosters on the ladder because the Roosters can't possibly be 4-0.
Yeah, no, that's just an insane thought. I just can't believe that. But they deserved it, though. They played really well. And, like, Cobbo? Is that who he was? He looks like a quick little talented football. He zippy as.
Arse, as usual, was one of their best on the field. They get Adam Reynolds back for round 2, so it's looking like a good, positive start to the season for them.
Yeah, I knew they were going to be improved, but they even took me by surprise because I watched it delayed on the Monday because of my work hours, and I was like, I saw the clip of the Capewell kick, and before because someone tagged me in it on Reddit. Which I thought, hey, cool. And then when I watched the game, I'm like, holy crap, they were pretty much dominant that whole game. Like, what happened? This can't. No, that's not right.
And that was the game that started just the wildness that was round one. It was absolutely bonkers.
Oh.
And that was the game that started it all. Actually, no, I'd probably say the second game of the round was the game that started it all.
Yeah. AJ says Cody Walker gave away another intercept. Lol. He's just not going to live that down, is he?
No.
Like, imagine that your first game back, you're like, right, jump back on the horse. It's okay. I can do this.
It's gonna be one of those unfortunate ones, just like Ben Hunt in the 15 grand final. But I really hope it gets to the point where they do drop it, because the way they bring it up nowadays is just really detrimental to like Ben Hunt's health, and they can't like mental well-being, and they kind of mock it.
Yeah.
It's not really a mocking at the moment, but the longer they keep it up, the more likely it's going to get to that point, and that's just where it becomes bad, in my opinion. But we'll see how long it lasts.
It went on too long with that one. It definitely did.
Yeah,
but
they still continue it to this day.
Exactly, but it did stick around because it is like a pivotal moment in a grand final. Like, it's one of those things where like we remember the heroes pretty much for eternity. So maybe a couple of years, I guess.
The heroes isn't so bad. The heroes.
Yeah, exactly. The heroes and the villains kind of get remembered in those big games. I mean, you know, we're gonna. I still every now and again will play that clip back just because the commentary and the intercept and everything. It's like it gives you chills. Like, or the Sattler tackle, you know, Thurston kicking.
What about the
kicking for goal and hitting and missing that goal at the end where they scored?
Hitting the post.
Yeah,
this is a horror movie.
Like
bloody Rabs.
Yeah, it's these moments where they score in the corner and he has that kick. It's like these are the moments that you kind of look back on. So it's unfortunate.
That's one of that one though was one of my favorite bits of Rab's commentary. He hits the post. This is a horror movie.
Oh. Yeah, it was cool. It's funny enough, a lot of people forget now that the Broncos were actually pretty much dominant for a lot of that, and then they kind of went to their shell and tried to just protect the lead, and then that's why they lost. Which is interesting.
The Cowboys were relentless.
Oh, of course, but
they had to be.
If the Broncos pressed their advantage, they would have won their grand final, I think. They were good enough.
They were close enough.
Another one, AJ says, Benji's flick pass. Like, I mean, that gets rolled out every single year without fail, a couple of times a year. That's another one, though.
I'm always happy to see that.
But yeah, it's funny, right? You go, that's another one. I've gone back and watched it a few times. If you actually watch the entire play, so it's fifth tackle kick, and then he gets the ball or whatever, and he goes through a couple of defenders first. Like, the whole thing is just kind of magical way how he does that.
And then there's Paddy Richards and his forgotten fend.
I know, right? Poor bloke. No one remembers it, but it gives this absolute monster fend where I'm pretty sure he's like left a handprint which he autographed after the game or something. And
it was one of the Cowboys forwards, I think, too, wasn't it? So like not a player you'd expect a winger to be able to fend off.
I don't remember who the Cowboys player was that he fended off. I remember the Tigers players better.
Do some research.
But yeah. Where are we at? Any other standouts for you over the weekend?
Yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about the dour affair that was the Cowboys and the Bulldogs? Actually, no, before we do that, one question.
I want to... Okay, what's your question?
Back on Souths, do we start thinking that they are now a chance of missing the top 4 and possibly the top 8 even without Reynolds?
I think they'll find a groove. especially like when they get like Mitchell back and that, like they have good players still. I don't think they'll miss the 8. I think they're too good to miss the 8. I think they'll miss the top 4.
You don't reckon it could turn into like some sort of transitional year where the young guys, Taff, Ilias, all those guys start to get some experience, but they suffer in the meantime?
No, they'll definitely be suffering. There'll be games lost that they could have otherwise won, but I still think they'll be too good to miss the 8. I mean, you've got guys like Cameron Murray. You've still got Latrell Mitchell to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They've still got Cody Walker, who is a hothead, but he's still good within his own right. It's just a matter of making sure Mitchell doesn't get suspended again.
I was about to say, the thing is making sure Mitchell stays on the field and doesn't lose his head.
Yeah, or someone else's
trying
head.
to take off Luke Garner's or David Nofalumas again.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, I think they'll still be in the 8. I don't think they missed the 8.
We'll have to wait and see then, won't we?
Yeah, we will. So, though there was another big surprise from the weekend, though, which was the Knights over the Roosters, and not by a small margin either. It was 20-6.
That was crazy. I'm very, very annoyed at that game because I picked the Roosters in a last man standing competition, so I'm out in the first round because they lost.
Ouch. R.I.P.
My dad and my brother took the same team as well, so all 3 of us got out in the first round.
I can't imagine many people would have picked the Knights in that game. Like, even if both teams were alright, like, it's the Roosters. Like, yeah.
Well, the 14 who got a perfect round on sports bet did.
That has to be pure luck. Surely they just closed their eyes and went through and pressed all the buttons and hoped for the best.
Tossed a coin for every game.
Yeah. Oh, that'll do. Like, I did not expect it. The Knights were really, really good. They looked switched on. Like, that didn't look like luck at all. That they really earned that win. It was, which is now making our tips look a bit.
I was about to say, yeah, mine in particular, my tip for Knights to come 14th may be a little off the mark. need the Tigers to beat them this week and start helping me out a little bit there.
Well, that's the question. Are you concerned now?
About the Knights or the Tigers?
Little from column A, little from column B.
No, not yet. I'll use the Tigers as an example. That whole period where we had a nice little round 1 winning streak, we didn't make the top 8 any year. It was like 2014 to 2019 or 2013 to 2019 or something like that. And yeah, we didn't make the top 8 any year during that streak. So the Knights, they could do it. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe that's a good thing for you guys. Maybe you guys will actually work up into it. Like I said, I found improvement in them, and I thought they met the pre-season expectations. Maybe not mid-game expectations. Sure. I think Rob was correct when he was like, hey, when you're in that position, you should win. But I think you're meeting pre-season expectations there of just showing some improvement. And then even if you lose some games at the start of the year, if you build up into the end of the year, well, who knows what could happen? Because that's always been the issue is, you always have that falter right at the end of the year when you're like 1 or 2 games within striking distance of the 8.
As for the Knights, let's have a bit of a look at their next 3 games. So the rest of their first month of the season. So they've got the Tigers at home. They then travel down to Bathurst to play the Panthers. And then they have the Sharks away as well. at PointsBet. So that's their first month.
It's not the worst draw in the world.
I'd say best case for them would be 3-1. However, as a Tigers fan, I would like that to be at least 2-2.
Yeah.
Not for selfish reasons or anything like that.
No. Definitely not. But
yeah, Justin, their attack did look pretty good. It's I think their first try was a bit lucky. They just completely bamboozled Tedesco. So that one was a little bit of luck, but
you mean that kick with that ridiculous bounce?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh no, I won't get a clip of it. I could, but
you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, copyright will probably smash down on our heads, and NRL's particularly bad at it. But yes, the ball bounce, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. He just was not meant to get that. It just wasn't his day.
That was wild.
But yeah, Justin's right there. Like they looked really good, and that's why I said, "Are you concerned about that game at all?" Because they didn't fluke that win. They looked switched on, very very switched on.
Our defense needs to get its shit together.
Well, yeah, that's it. The interesting part is, right, they actually defended really well, I thought, when you were on the Storm side of halfway. But once you got on your try line, you looked really awkward.
Yeah, and I think most of that problem, honestly, was Gildart. He, being from the Super League, which isn't a very defense-orientated competition, I think that is going to take him a bit of getting used to, because he just left his winger stranded so many times. He made a few really bad calls, and
yeah,
it's gonna take him some time. Hopefully not too much, because we really need him to get his shit together.
Yeah, but he does look like he's going to come good. Like with the ball, he looks really good. Like better than a lot of the English blokes who have come over in the backs, at least. So
that first try he set up for the pass for that first try for Mamalo, that was magnificent. That was like chef's kiss material, that try.
Yeah, so I think he's definitely got potential and worth persisting with, because he looks good. And while we're shouting out players, obviously Charlie Staines for us, I need to shout out. He copped so much last year, and he ran for 178 meters on the weekend, which is literally the thing he got criticised for, not getting involved as much and getting pushed back on his hit-ups and all that all the time. And I thought he fixed the very thing that he got criticised for, so it's always nice to see players do that. He looks bigger too, so...
Yeah, you guys are right. The Roosters did make too many errors. But as well in saying that, I don't think you can look too much into that sort of performance from the Roosters.
Yeah, that won't be.
They won the comp in 2018 after losing round 1 to the Tigers. So
both years they won the comp, they lost round 1.
Who'd they lose round 1 to in 2019?
2019, let's pull it up.
Was that you guys?
Roosters round 1 26-16 versus Souths.
Oh, Souths. I thought it was you guys.
Yeah, so no, that was, so you had 2018, Souths had 2019.
Yeah, I think
yes, we beat them 2020, so you were 1 year, you were ahead of yourself by 1 year.
The Cowboys as well in 2015, they started that year disastrously before ended up, I think they were 0-4 or something before they went on to win the comp. So yeah, you can never really look into a team like the Roosters losing round 1, because let's face it, there are still 23 games for them to bounce back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see them not bounce back, but hey.
You know what's going to happen. They're just too well organised and too well drilled for that. And
Exactly.
again, they have top quality players. They're full of rep players. They're not staying down.
No, definitely not. They also have a coach who's not afraid to push the limits when it comes to what he can and can't say in the post-match presses and getting the NRL to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Those brown paper bags help out a lot, as we know.
Yeah. So the rumor mill goes, but
And that's exactly right, AJ. Manly lost the first month and still finished top 4 last year. That was, so
yeah, it doesn't mean a lot.
you
I
can
think.
never read too much into round 1.
Yeah, said it before, said it again. The first month of the comp is just everyone's finding their feet and working themselves out more than anything.
Getting the combinations right.
Yeah.
You're
Really lucky if you don't really have to spend too much time getting those combinations right. The Panthers are pretty much that team. They sort of do because of the whole no Nathan Cleary, but a lot of those guys who are filling those roles were all together going up through the juniors and everything anyway, so they've all played together.
Yeah, which is the advantage of that kind of system where, yeah, like you said, everyone knows everyone. They've all played together anyway. Like Sean Sutherland won a lower grade comp with a couple of those guys.
Yep.
So like they've already had success together. They know what's happening. Like it's not. So when they come in, they're like, oh, okay, let's go do that again. Like, okay, let's do it. Sweet. It's just now we've trained for longer. We're a bit better than we were. We're physically improved. That's it. I mean, everything's just a bit stronger and faster. So, yeah, it's nice to have that. And
did we want to have a quick chat about the slugfest that was the Cowboys and the Dogs?
we probably should at least give it a mention, but oh my god, the first half, I swear to god, if anybody saw that for the first time, I think they'd never watch another game again.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
It was the worst football experience I have ever had watching.
And what about
game.
that rain that came out of nowhere in the second half?
That was crazy.
I had just finished my dinner. I was walking back into Dad's room to watch the rest of the game, and all of a sudden it is just hammering down.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. Just one. I was watching it just 1 second. It was fine. And then the next second, it was just a wall of rain. I'm like, oh, okay, it's raining now. We're doing that.
Credit to the Dogs to come back and win that, though. I was saying it to Dad during the game while the Dogs were still behind, I think with 10 minutes to go, that I was really worried for the Dogs if they lost that game, because I didn't see them winning any of their first 6 if they lost, so they would have had an 0-6 start. And then now, even looking at the Cowboys, I feel like in their next 5, so by the end of round 6, I also feel like they've only got one really decent chance at nabbing a win. So I feel like it is entirely possible that both of those teams after 6 weeks will be 1-5 at best. And that's kind of scary.
Yeah,
the Dogs more so because of how brutal their upcoming run is.
Yeah.
They're going to have the Broncos, who coming off a win, and with the return of Adam Reynolds, before all of last year's top 4.
Fun.
The Cowboys. So the Cowboys' next 5 games, I'll pull these up. So they've got the Raiders at home. So they've started the year with 2 home games.
Yeah.
Then they have the Broncos at Suncorp. Then they have the Roosters at home. Then the Warriors away, which is that one I'm giving them the best chance of winning.
Yeah.
And then they've got the Raiders away.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If both of those teams are 1-5 going into round 6, I have a feeling that they could potentially be the teams that are battling it out for the spoon. But in saying that, the Dogs' run will obviously get a little bit easier. They'll have just played all of the top 4, so their luck of the draw will have to turn around eventually. And by then, their combinations will have started to get a bit better. So they've probably got a bit more time than that.
Considering how much their recruitment has sort of flipped on its head, I think they're owed a bit of time to get their stuff together. I think they've had pretty much one of the biggest recruitment drives over the off season for obvious reasons.
Competition.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. So I think that they're owed a bit of time to sort of come together and sort themselves out. I mean, it's not going to happen straight away, and anyone who thinks it would or should is
themselves.
Kind of, they're kidding themselves. They're tricking themselves, maybe with a bit of wishful thinking or something. That's why I think Trent Barrett should have this year and next year. Like they talk about, oh, is he going to get sacked? If they sack him mid-year this year, it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's the same story with Madge. Like, you know, you finally give these guys what they want. Give them some time with that to see what they can do with it.
Finally give them the chance to like sign the players they want. Like Madge couldn't sign players for so long because of the way Ivan had left the cap. And he finally gets his team together now, and then to stack him a year into that, like that seems pointless to me.
But even that was run on from before that. We had all the drama with the guys like Aaron Woods and Mitch Moses and that. You know, you had the run on from that, and then Ivan's trying to sort of scramble and do that, and then you've got the run on from him into Madge, and then it's like, hang on a minute, give the club time to settle down a bit. You know, you finally look like you're starting to head in the right direction, even if it's slow. Let it get there. Don't derail the train before it gets to the station, sort of thing.
Yeah, Justin, you're not wrong. That offside try in the last few minutes really did haunt them, and that's the funny thing. If the Hammer was onside there, like literally not even a meter back from where he was, he still scores that try regardless, because he still has enough time to get into the position that he got into to receive the ball.
Well, I said straight up in the Reddit match thread, I was just going through and I was like, oh man, it must suck for the Dogs to lose like that. And then, so anyway, I walked off, come back, and they're at the video ref, and I'm like, hang on, what's going on here? You cannot be serious. And they went on to win it. I'm like, that was just ridiculous. I can't believe that. Imagine being like that, being your team. That's crazy.
Justin, they're the Cowboys. Something tells me you don't feel too bad for them. They're your biggest rival.
Maybe there's a bit of a love-hate thing happening there. I don't know.
Maybe he tolerates the other Queensland teams.
Yeah, well, he's had a bit of time now to get past 2015. So, you know, you see, time does really heal all wounds.
Unless you're a Tigers fan, then no. We will continue to hate Ivan.
But I like that though. It's so I'm going to be carrying on about this later in the year. I can't believe they took what would be a massively awesome rivalry and they've just ruined it this year with the draw. We should have 2 games, 1 home and 1 away each, and just let them go.
From a chance at the Tigers not losing 2 games by playing you twice, I'll disagree, but that's the only reason.
Yeah.
one less
get
game
that.
against you guys and a second game against another team is fine by me because it's a better chance at getting wins.
Yeah. But like you look at that last year when you beat us and everyone's going on, and it was like one of the
That was so much
craziest.
fun.
Yeah, but like it was so there was so much feeling involved. Like you miss that. They're the things you want to see in the game. There's so much emotion happening, and it's like they've completely like got rid of it this year. Basically, going, who cares? Hey, Pete Redo's here. Hello,
and
welcome.
it's also because they've put it at CommBank.
Exactly, like it's
one of the most boring stadiums in the history of the land.
It's a neutral game, like a neutral venue during Origin period when everyone's minds are sort of elsewhere a bit. Like, I don't know.
We've got the Eels at Leichhardt during Origin, and I am so pumped for that.
Yeah, that I imagine you are. If you win that, I think there's going to be a lot of cheering.
Welcome.
So, do we want to get on to the other item on our agenda, which is today the NRL Women's is expanding.
That is such good news for the women's game. Like, you could see how much the women sacrifice to play. A lot of them still have to work other jobs because they don't earn enough money by playing in the NRLW alone. So it is so good to see them actually get some recognition for their efforts, for their ability, and I am very much looking forward to seeing how the growth of the women's comp goes over the next couple of years with the competition expanding.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, more football's better, right? So we'll look at the changes that I've got the article up here. ARLC announced expansion for NRL Women's and Women's State of Origin. The Australian Rugby League Commission has approved the expansion of their NRL Telstra Women's Premiership and Ampol Women's State of Origin and the introduction of a salary cap system, which will increase average salaries by 28%. So that goes back to what you were saying about how they've got to actually work a job and do this. So
yeah,
a little bit more.
Work a job to be able to do this.
Yeah. And it is fair enough. Like the men's game didn't start out, they weren't, these super duper big earners when they started out either.
$1 million salaries.
Yeah. The professional rugby league player is a relatively new thing. I remember you'll see games from the 90s even where they'll show what their profession is before the game. They used to do it on some of the telecasts. Yeah. What they actually did for a job outside of football. So even the men's earning these massive salaries is actually a relatively new thing in the grand scheme of it.
Yep.
To ensure new teams have time to prepare and allow further talent development, the 2022 NRL Women's season will remain at 6 teams before expanding to 8 teams in 2023 and 10 teams in 2024. The commission
I think it's completely fair to keep it as 6 teams for the 2022 season, just because it is obviously a rather short notice thing since the 2022 season, I think, will start in August. Just like what they've done with the Dolphins, there's a lot more time there.
Yeah.
And what they've also done with the expanded women's comp in the AFL as well. They announced 4 new teams for the 2023 season back in 2021. So
yeah, and it takes time. You gotta get all the logistics right and get everything going. So it's fair enough. Obviously, we know they are getting there, so it's just a matter of letting them do the necessary. It says the commission will determine new licenses by July this year. So everyone will obviously have to, I guess, put in a bid and go from there, just like the Dolphins had to. I think they were competing. There was 3 teams competing the NRL license there, so it's all pretty standard.
I hope the Tigers put a bit in.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to see us get in. AJ says hopefully the Panthers team in the future. I'd love it. It'd be great. I'm not sure.
Tigers teams that frustrate me beyond belief.
Well, how funny would it be if they did put a Tigers team in and they were like super awesome, top of the table, unbeatable? You'd be like, well, this is my team.
Well, we've made a few good signings in the New South Wales Women's Premiership.
Yeah.
For this year. So if we had a very similar squad for the NRLW, I reckon we'd be a bit of a force, because you've seen how good Bovedy Welsh is.
Yeah.
We've also had Kezi Apps sign for our women's team this year.
Oh, very
nice. And I think Jess Surgis as well.
That is actually really good.
Yeah, that's like, if we've also got some really talented youngsters, like both of the Curtin sisters. I've interacted with their dad. A very proud dad on Twitter a few times. Matt Curtin. He's stoked for his two girls. Like,
she would be.
One of them got to debut for the Eels and score a try on debut. Weekend just gone. So
basically, what you're saying is every single person who has ever played rugby league will have scored a try before Alice Twal.
Which is very sad, but yes. Come on, Twally. Try for Twally. Man. Hashtag try for Twally. Come on.
we're behind you on this. Let's go. For the 2022 season, NRL women's teams will move to a salary cap system with a salary cap set at $350,000 per team. So it's a nice little, and I assume obviously over time as the game grows and becomes more profitable and the NRL, works everything out, I assume that salary cap will grow over the years as they go. So the new system will increase average salaries by 28%, and clubs will also be given the ability to contract up to 2 marquee players as full-time employees with additional salary cap dispensation. Private health insurance will also be covered for all contracted NRL women's players. So that's actually pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Like it's a slow build, granted, but they're definitely clearly putting in the effort to give them what they can.
AJ, are you sure you don't want Millie Boyle and Adam Elliott on a poster for the Panthers instead?
No. He had to go there.
I couldn't help myself. Tell you what, though, Millie Boyle is very talented.
Yeah, like I think most people would be happy to have a team with her in it. It's pretty high quality football now. Like, I think the only thing I've noticed, and someone said this on Reddit too, is I think the kicking game needs a bit of work. But other than that, like the quality is there in terms of playing ability and everything. They're clearly putting in the time and the effort with training, which, and considering the lack of professionalism, is actually pretty good.
The thing with the kicking game side of things, I feel, is more to do with the women don't get as much power in the legs, so the sideline conversions are extraordinarily challenging for them. But beyond that, the rest of the kicking you see from the women is pretty top quality.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of working on technique as well. That plays a big part. Like you hear of even a lot of the men where they'll go, like you look at Nathan Cleary, he went and worked with Andrew Johns and his kicking game became infinitely better.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that. If they can tap into the resources, even over in the men's game, for example, who obviously very experienced in the game of rugby league and doing everything, if they can just get those technique down, I think they'll be a lot better for it. But again, a lot of that will come down to the professionalism. So, if you've got two marquee players, if one of those is your half, for example, you send them to a specialized kicking coach or whatever over a preseason, I guarantee you're going to have a big improvement.
Speaking of the conversions, I do wonder though. Sorry, just yawned a little bit there. I do wonder though if a slight change to the field size, like sort of just for the conversions, might make a difference. You see in women's cricket, a lot of the time when they've had like double headers for women's games and men's games at the same venues and everything, they've kind of had like another rope on the inside for the women's matches. And so like smaller boundaries. If they were to do something like maybe bring in the maximum distance from the sideline for conversion attempts for the women's game.
I get what you're saying. I don't know. That'd be... it's an interesting concept. We've seen them land kicks from the sideline.
Yeah, but a lot of the time they don't have the distance.
So
that's what I'm finding with a lot of the teams. It's kind of like, I don't think I worded it the best, but I think you know what I was trying to get at.
I get what you're saying. Like it's the same. Yeah, I get what you're saying with the women's cricket example and that. I don't know. I think I'd start with working on technique, and as the players are able to spend more time training and whatnot, with the increase in money flowing into it and salaries and whatnot,
they won't have to worry too much about having to work another job to be able to afford to play.
Just that on its own is going to have such a big impact, and that's why obviously they've been calling for it, because it would make it harder. So, I mean, you look at even players now in the men's game can do things 15 years ago that would be almost unheard of in terms of like the kicking games and different things like that. Like you look at Matt Burton's kicking game. I mean, if you send him back 15 years, he'd be superhuman with his kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it'd be Sonny Bill Williams level of kick.
Yeah,
not Sonny Bill, Hazem El Masri. That's what I meant.
Yeah, like it'd be crazy. Or Nathan Cleary's goal kicking, kicking it like he's like a sharpshooter with his kicking. It's just a matter of having the time to spend on these things, because these guys spend hours doing extras. I mean, how many extras can you do around training when you've got to work a full-time job?
Exactly.
That I think that's where a big difference will come. And I think as the women's game is growing, that's why we're seeing it improve. It'll keep improving. So I don't even know where their limit's going to be. I mean, honestly, I can't pick it. Because I mean,
with salary caps, they'll be able to get like better coaching staff in. Obviously, the Dragons right now, you look that the Dragons NRLW team are being coached by Jamie Soward. That's a pretty bloody good guy to have around the club as a coach.
His kicking game was absolutely ridiculous, like in the best way. So I mean, as money and time is flowing into these clubs and into their careers, I think you'll see natural improvement. It's just a matter of
like if the Tigers got an NRLW team, you could easily have like Benji or Robbie on the coaching staff for that team, and how immense that would be for the kicking game for that club too.
Exactly. Like you imagine Robbie teaching hookers how to do all the little finessey bits of actually playing the position, and Benji teaching playmakers about fifth tackle kicking and all this. Like, there's so much potential there for growth. So I don't know. I think I would go there before I look at changing fields, because we seriously have, when I don't think we're close to where their potential is yet.
Well, I mean, I'd say keep the actual field the same, but only bring in like the maximum distance for the
I get what you
conversion.
mean. Like when they, so
Like
if they
at the
score on
scrum
the
line or
side, yeah.
something.
So if they score on the sideline, you'd bring it in 10 or 15 meters or whatever. But
bring it into like the scrum line.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just keep investing in them for now and see where their potential takes them first.
Yeah.
Because, for example, like the cricket example, I think they've had a lot more development in with them. I think they've been doing it
Just
for a bit
my
longer.
random thoughts.
Yeah, it's definitely one to consider. Because I mean, if they get fully professional and they're like, at their absolute peak, what their physical abilities can do, and they struggle, well, then obviously it'd be something you'd have to do. But I would like to see us first develop them further.
Another change to the NRLW this year that I've really liked is the extended half times, 35-minute halves, 70-minute games.
Yeah,
it's still a really good product.
and
the product is still as good as when they were playing 60-minute games.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Where like over time you'll find these things become easier and easier for them as they can do more. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
You reckon they'll go to 80-minute games eventually?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is I would not be surprised to see them in a year or two start doing that. Like, 35-minute halves now. I mean, they're pretty much almost there.
Yeah, I mean, like an extra 5 minutes on each half is not a lot, but
no.
Well, we can say it's not a lot, but it might be for them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't heard anyone talk about it, but again, the more training they can do to prepare, I mean, the better they'll be. I don't see any reason why they can't. I mean, you look at a lot of the Olympians out there and stuff. I mean, the women who actually do have the time to train full time and that, and like the stuff that they can do and is pretty incredible, like physical wise.
Yep.
Like as athletes, so. All right, where we go? In 2020, back to the article. In 2022, representative payments will increase substantially. State of origin match payments will increase from 4,000 to 6,000, while All Stars payments will increase from 1,600 to 3,000. So that's a pretty nice little bump there.
I mean, that's a 150% increase on origin payments.
Yeah.
And almost double for rep games, for All Stars games, and that is huge. Like,
and to top it
women
off,
who get selected for those games fully deserve to play in them. So paying them more is so much better.
And to top that off, the next sentence in the article takes your 150% rise and doubles it, because it goes from 2023, the Ampol Women's State of Origin will expand to a 2-game standalone series with both games aired live on free-to-air television. So instead of 1 game, we're going to 2 now. So they get 2 match payments.
That part I don't like as much. I think, why not just go to 3? What's the point of having a 2-game series? Because
yes, I'm not a fan of the... Yeah, sorry.
New South Wales win game 1, Queensland win game 2. That's kind of a very hollow feeling. Like, no one wins. No one wins the series.
I was about to say the same thing. 2 games is really unusual amount of games. From the financial point of view, obviously, it's good. They'll get double match payments if they play in both, obviously. But yes, 2 games is a bit weird because you're going to end up with drawn series a lot, I think.
I'd be surprised if less than 50%... actually, if less than 25% of 2-game series have a winner, I think at least 75% of 2-game series will be drawn. So I think that's the only part of the announcement I'm not too keen on, because I feel like just go to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a practical point of view, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's probably been done purely on the financials of it.
But I think you'd make a lot of money on a 3-game New South Wales versus Queensland Origin series for the women. I really believe that.
You've got a lot of hype around it already with Origin in general, and yeah, I think it'd be good. But I don't know. I'd love to watch it because you get essentially 2 Origin series per year would be great for me. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't argue.
Would you have the women's series as like a standalone thing, or would you have double headers with the men's games? The double headers might be a better idea because that would get the women playing in those big stadiums, which they don't normally do. Like, really, the only time the women play in the big stadiums is the grand final when they play at ANZ. But
I see pros and cons to either side of it. I mean, I'd love to see them play before the men's Origin in front of 80,000 or whatever would be pretty intense. Or like if they play here or Suncorp, which is what, 50,000 or something, 60,000. I don't know, but at the same time, do they want to be their own thing and not feel like they're being latched onto the men's game? So I don't know.
I'll use cricket as another example. The WBBL, the Women's Big Bash, started off as a series that ran in conjunction with the men's. And now, after a few years of kind of beginning the process of making it its own thing, it is now its own thing. Like, the Women's Big Bash final last year was before the men's Big Bash even started. So they've spread it out, and which is good for cricket fans, Big Bash fans, or NRL fans who like the Big Bash, because you go straight from the NRL Grand Final into the women's Big Bash, into the men's Big Bash, and then by the time that's over, it's almost trial time.
Yeah.
So I do see the benefits of both sides. I feel like you'd have to have, like, the men's have the RLPA. I think the women's game would need a similar. Let them decide what they think is in the best interests of the comp, since they're obviously going to be the players. And like the men's game, have that association between the NRL.
Well, would they just join onto that?
RLPA.
I mean, would they just become a part of that?
I mean, they could.
I mean, it's
whether or not they wanted to have their own.
I mean, it's essentially the union that's overseeing their industry. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't just join up with that. Like, it's, like anyone working in that industry would basically, come under that umbrella, and then, so I don't know. But again, I think that, like you said, that'd be up to them, though. I mean, it depends what they want to do. Did you want to read the next part out? We're up to the Commission has also approved.
The Commission has also approved substantial increases in investment of junior female participation and pathways programs, including national age group championships, as well as coaching and referee academies, which is good because it means we can see more female referees. We'll also see women's junior competitions similar to what we see with the men's, like with the Harold Matthews and the SG Ball. So much more junior representation will really help the talent flow through, so that when the expansion gets, like, when they start expanding even further, you'll have so much more talent coming through. It's like, that can't possibly be a bad thing for the game.
No, I currently make them stronger in the end. Yeah, I had to step away for 5 seconds.
Is that why you got me to do the dirty work? Nah.
Yep.
NRL Chief Executive Andrew Abdo said the Commission is committed to a sustainable growth strategy of the women's game from grassroots to the elite level. Today is an exciting day for the women's game. We're expanding to 8 teams in 2023 and 10 teams in 24. We're also introducing a salary cap for the next season and creating the opportunity for more players to access full-time employment through their club, he said.
Yeah. See, these are all the moves that in 5-10 years' time are going to make the women's game strong.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got to start somewhere, and you've got to sort of plant these seeds everywhere and watch them grow, and then when they do, then boom, you've got yourself a good competition. Oh, NSL said, I'm back. Sorry if I disappeared for a while. I was just stressing out on my round 2 tipping video, and I just don't want people really want me to do it on what style. Don't know what. Look, honestly, you've got to do your own thing. Like, we're not super successful here. We're just doing our own thing and having fun. At the end of the day, that's all you can do. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. We're not particularly massively popular, and we probably won't ever be. But I absolutely love doing, having the people come and interact that do. We got NSL and Justin and Pete Bretto and AJ Mullins. There's a couple of guys who like to come in, and we see Ash every now and again.
In saying that, NSL, if you are interested in like helping us grow a little bit, you can send some of your fellow content creators our way and send us their way and help everyone grow everyone's community.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're just here to talk about the sport we love. It's not
Neither of us were like, well, you already had your channel, but I was always feeling like, I don't know if it's really going to be something that I could do, because I didn't think that I'd be able to, how do I say it? I didn't think I'd be able to make it, I guess. Or I wasn't really the type of person with my anxiety and everything to be able to do something like this. But when you suggested to me this idea, and I was just like, why not? Why not? Let's go for it.
Hey, well, considering I've got massive anxiety too, it's interesting that we're doing
it. Here we are.
Yeah. And as far as my channel goes, I got away from who and what I wanted to be, which is why I didn't make anything for a long time. So I will get back to it eventually, but it's going to take a while for me to actually do something. Like, the next thing that comes, like, it'll be a while, but when it comes, it'll actually be something that's done properly, and then you'll see what I want to be. Like, that's why I like with this. It's, that's why I enjoy doing this. We can just interact with the people, and it's more about the rugby league community than it is anything else.
Yeah, there's no drama. We're just having fun talking about the sport that we love.
Which is the part that I like about it, and that's back to what NSL was saying. Like, you've got to do that. Don't stress. Just do what you feel like you want to do at the time, and I guarantee people, even if not many watch it, you'll get a few people who watch it. So don't stress is, I guess, TLDR. Don't stress. Just do what you enjoy, how you enjoy it, and you'll be right. And I think YouTube has unsubscribed me from your channel, which is really frustrating. That is something that happens a lot. So keep an eye on that, whether it's with us or with other content creators you watch. I've had that happen with a bunch of different ones over the years, where YouTube will just randomly unsubscribe you from channels, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I've noticed that with a couple of my channels too. It also randomly subscribed me to a few channels, like when I first created my account. Like, I ended up being subscribed to channels like Smosh and PewDiePie when I first created my YouTube account, and I had no interest in them whatsoever. Like, I was automatically subscribed to them. And I'm starting to think, okay, no wonder these guys have major major subscriber counts if everyone who creates a YouTube account is sent to them
Yeah, well, it's probably a case of they did the work in the beginning, got big, and now YouTube supports them because, you know, they're kind of holding the platform up.
Holding the platform on their shoulders, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's a bit like that.
Also, we really appreciate you saying that, AJ. It's very nice of you to say.
That I feel warm and fuzzy now. That's crazy that someone actually said that.
Warm and fuzzy feelings, like a hug through my computer.
Yeah, like my social anxiety disorder just assumes like that voice in the back of my head every time we hang up at the end of a stream. I just go, well, everyone's going to be judging us negatively now. Everyone's going to tell us.
You also had those doubts early this season with so many other people starting like podcasts and stuff. If it was worth us jumping back on this year, since we had such a big break over the off season,
and especially not that I'm being negative on people. Like, good people are starting good podcasts.
Yeah, like why don't we give a plug to, what are their names?
Which ones?
The Panthers fans.
Oh, Jacko Martin.
Yeah, Jack and Nat.
Yeah,
with their Panther pod that they have now.
That's really cool, by the way. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Jack Martin and damn it, I'm sorry, I'm so terrible with names, but I follow them both on Twitter.
Nat Sinclair.
That's the name. Thank you. But yes, go.
Two fans that were incredibly excited. Based on their posts when the Panthers won last year.
Yeah.
They were two very, very, very excited people.
Yeah, and it's cool. They're both like really just genuine people. So I think anyone who goes and follows them will have a good time.
Yep. No negativity, just great things.
Yeah, they don't tend to get into the drama too much, other than defending things that need to be defended, even if it's not from their own club. So I think they're just genuine people, and I'm cool to see where their little podcast goes. And that's why I had the doubts, because I'm like, man, all these really cool people are doing like cool podcasts and stuff, and then my social anxiety just automatically assumes everyone's going to hate us. So I'm like, oh, well, what's the point? But yes, NSL Old Panther, do you reckon Panthers would have a women's team coming into the competition? I would love that, like, so much, because then I get to stress about more Penrith players knocking on the ball, but then getting ridiculously excited like the best day ever every time they score a try. But, you know, that swing of emotions. But I don't know if it'll happen, what the blueprint will be, if they'll try and avoid the Sydney sort of, what's the word I'm thinking of here? Because we've got a very Sydney-centric competition at the moment. There's so many Sydney teams. I don't know if they'll try and avoid that with the women's comp. I suspect
they're probably going to have like maybe a similar ratio. I'd say, so what? The Sydney teams, there are 9 Sydney teams in a 16-team comp. There are about to be 9 Sydney teams in a 17-team comp. So a ratio of close to 50%, or maybe just over 50% will probably be what they look at. So with 10 teams, you'd have maybe 6 at most from Sydney.
Yeah, but considering
4 outside.
New South Wales.
They've already got 3 outside.
Yeah, and considering New South Wales and Queensland are the two, like, we've pretty much got 2 states, which are heartland sort of areas. You'll probably find more will come from both those states. So I don't know. I'd love to see it. I really would, but I don't know if it happens. I don't know what the timing will be like. And I haven't heard any news on whether the Penrith are going to put forward a bid or not. I've heard some other teams, obviously. I think the biggest ones being, I think, Sharks and Souths. Yeah, don't know. It'd be cool, but I think if it does happen, it'll be a little bit off. But we'll have a few other teams first.
It would also be interesting to like survey the fan base and see which teams have the most popular following for women's, like for new expansion teams for the NRLW.
I mean, I assume everyone will just pick their club, right?
I guess so. Well, I mean,
fans of the clubs who already have teams would have to pick a different club.
Yeah, so that might help even it out a bit. But it's the same thing that happens every time, like, a poll comes up or whatever, or a discussion comes up. Where it's like, oh, who's the best player ever? And everyone's like, they either pick a player from their club, or if they're a Queenslander, they'll pick a Queenslander. And if they're from New South Wales, pick someone from New South Wales. Like, it's just that inherent bias in the game where the game is built on tribalism.
Yeah.
So, NSL, how have you enjoyed having a women's team? We'll leave you with that question while we go through some more of this. Yeah, they talk about what we already read. We're experiencing significant growth in television audiences, and that's down to the players, and the commission will continue to invest and support that success. Well, I mean, I imagine so. As they get better at it, it'll be a balancing act of they'll probably have to invest a little more than they're getting back to start with. And so, because especially now today, like they're coming into a stacked environment where people have their forms of entertainment and not just sport. They're not just competing, against other sports. They're competing against everything from streaming television shows to, movies to all the things people do in life, because that's, a football game, you're talking about a 70-minute game of football. That's an hour and 10 minutes out of someone's life, and then you halftime and pre-game and post-game and all that. Like, so you're competing for that chunk of someone's day.
Yep. So
I think the NRL will have to invest more than they're getting back to start with to sort of counteract that a bit and give them a fighting chance in today's world.
It's like we're seeing what's happening with the Dolphins at the moment as well. They aren't really getting the signings. They've signed hardly anyone of note, and it looks like it's going to continue that way.
Yeah. So, which is really unusual. I thought we were going to see this big explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, a new club, money to spend. I was waiting, and especially like where they are, like it's a really good place. Like, great beaches, good lifestyle there. Like, I was expecting like this big explosion of signings, and it just didn't happen.
No, it kind of just petered.
So importantly, announcements today. Oh, excuse me.
AJ, the AFL team I follow has both a men's and women's team, and it's fantastic. Who's your AFL team, AJ? I do like it though. Yeah, the AFLW in the next comp that starts later this year is going to have all 18 men's teams having women's teams. So the final 4 that didn't have a team will now have one, and I'm trying to work out which 4 teams they are. The Hawks, the Swans. Hang on, let me have another look at there.
There you go. He's West Coast Eagles.
He's an Eagles fan. I see. They kind of suck though. I'll always take stabs at that sort of thing. That's just me. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't watched AFL in like 15 years, back from when I was supporting St Kilda, funny enough. But it's been so many years.
Yeah, so it's Hawthorn. It's the Swans. Carlton are there. Jason, we have to work this out now.
That's all right. We'll go back to this. So, importantly, the enhancements today are about ensuring a sustainable NRL women's competition. They've been very clear that we would ensure our playing talent is deep enough and our clubs are prepared before expanding. The lead-in time ahead of the next expansion phase will ensure our clubs have the right infrastructure in place and there is even more depth to our playing talent, which is the important part. It'd be great if we had full competition just slammed on the table right now. Let's go. But it makes sense. You've got to be careful. You've got to work up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time you get there, you're going to need the viewership and the corporate sponsorship and all these things that go with it. Mr. Abdo said all existing NRL clubs would have the ability to submit applications to join the 2023 or 2024 seasons. The NRL will work with interested clubs over the coming months with the commission to make final assessments and approve license applications in July. So there you go. Anyone can apply, and we'll find out in July what the final decisions are. So a couple months, and we'll know who's coming. I said, I've heard of... You what?
Sorry, I just worked out the 4 AFL teams, and I wanted to say them before I forgot them. So it's the Hawthorn Hawks, the Sydney Swans, the Essendon Bombers, and the Port Adelaide Power. Those 4 teams will all get a women's team in the 2022... Well, the comp that starts in 2022... So it will be a full 18-team competition like the men's. I don't know how many rounds it'll be, but yeah, all 18 AFL teams will have an AFLW team, and that is going to be so good for the product. I look forward to when the NRL get a lot closer to that as well.
Yes, it'll be really good. I said, more football is just better for us, really.
Better for the fans. It's better for the product. And I doubt anyone has a problem with the product that the NRLW has been since its inception. My only problem with it is I feel like it's a bit hard to say it's a full competition when it only ran for like 3 rounds with a grand final.
Yeah.
It now runs for 5 rounds with a grand final, so it's slightly longer, but with more teams, it'll get longer and it'll get better as well.
Yeah, that all comes down to the slow build that you can see them doing. They'll have more rounds, as we go. I mean, and even to the point of before, where you're saying like go to 35-minute halves. Just everything slowly building. You don't want to rush into things and have it all collapse like a house of cards. You want to have a nice strong foundation there and then work up to it. And eventually there'll be eventually we're going to have a full competition, professional players, and it's going to be insane. We're going to look back and go, wow, look at that.
Exactly.
All right.
The longer they kind of spread it out, the better the talent, or the better the talent pool will get, the better spread out it can be, the better it'll be for the competition as a whole.
Yeah. And then, because that way you also, as they say, they're trying to make the pathways and junior stuff all get set up as well. So that way because you've got to bring in that new talent as well. So it takes time. It's a big investment. You're probably looking at the first 10 years is just going to be making sure to set the roots and go from there. It's not a short process, like you said. I mean, look where the men's game has come. I mean, it's only really recently we're seeing proper professional players in the last 15, 20 years, really, in a game that's 100 years old.
The men's competition went to 16 teams in, what was it, 07?
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's taken now 15 years for them to add the 17th team.
Yeah, like none of these things move quickly. It's just the fact of the matter.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a look.
Did we want to? I was about to say, did we want to quickly
have a quick look at the
through
weekend?
Round 2?
That's what I was about to say. Let's have a quick look at round 2 while everyone stresses out about their games and who they're playing.
maybe give NSL a bit of inspiration for his tips by saying, do not tip the teams we do, because after the weeks we had last week, they're probably going to lose.
It's not my fault. Who could have predicted the Roosters to lose? That just insanity. I mean, maybe they threw. Maybe it's just their thing. They're like, hey, if we lose round 1, we'll win the comp. Let's throw that one.
We'll do it, Roosters. Lose round 1 and get our shit together after that.
West Tigers premiership coming up. So Thursday, 8:05. Idiots. It used to be 7:50. I like that. Let's push it back a little bit. Sick to death of them pushing it back further and further. Same thing happened to Origin. I remember when it kicked off at 7:30, and now it's like an 8:30 kickoff. Like,
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day. I'm gonna have an old person rant. Watch out. It's ridiculous. Like, it'll get to the point where it's just, who's going to stop that late? And imagine New Zealand audiences just for a minute. Like, the 8 o'clock game's kicking off at like, what, 11 or something for them?
And
yeah, there you go, 10 o'clock, that 2 hours. Like, by the time it finishes, it's midnight. You know, like, who's going to sit up for that?
Which is why a lot of the time they get like the earlier time slots, but yeah. So a lot of their games end up being the Friday 6,
yeah,
or the afternoon Saturdays for that very reason.
Yeah. Oh, talking about the earlier game, we get Friday 6 p.m. Perfect time for my work schedule because I work the weekends now, so I can watch us beat the Dragons and then go to bed nice and early.
Right, do you have an early tip for Storm and Rabbits?
Storm.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Storm.
Just
obviously the Rabbits get Latrell back, but it's still got to take them some time to get over the loss of Reynolds, and I think the Storm will be too good.
Does chat disagree with that? I don't know too many people who are going to pick the Rabbits on that one. Maybe a bit of wishful thinking, bit of loyalty, maybe, but
yeah, some diehard Rabbits fans may.
Like, we're, recency bias even from last weekend will, I think, taint the tipping against the Rabbitohs. And you watch, then they'll come and win, and everyone will be like, what the hell is this competition even doing?
I feel like everyone was pretty much like that after round 1.
Yeah, and it's going to happen.
What the hell is this competition doing?
It happens so much. I wonder if there's another comp out there that, like another sport, where underdogs have so much of a chance to actually upset. Dunno.
I mean, you get a lot of upsets in competitions like the Big Bash. Cricket ones are a lot more difficult to tip because there are a lot more momentum swings and roundabouts sort of thing. So there are some sports like that where the momentum can swing a lot easier. You can find yourself in a very strong position, but then fall in a heap. And then the other team, when they come into bat, can do the same thing. And it's just like, well, crap.
Yeah. So there you go. We're both on the Storm. Chat is silent, so we're going to assume they agree with us 100%. Chat, you're all down tipping the Storm.
Awesome.
Good job, Chat.
Yeah, Dragons, Panthers. This one, some people are thinking this one's going to be a lot closer because of the Dragons win. I know the Dragons won, but they only beat the Warriors. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm tipping the Panthers. Some people think it's going to be close. Like, I watched Nick from Australia's tipping video. He said Panthers by 8. I'm leaning towards Panthers by maybe 2 more converted tries than that.
You're going to go 13 plus.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to go Storm 1-12, Panthers 13 plus so far.
Yeah, NSL went Storm 13 plus. So he's got no faith in the Rabbitohs to keep it close. RIP South Sydney.
Well, in saying that, everyone said Storm 13 plus over the Tigers, and
that didn't happen.
We ended up being 10 points ahead after like 45 minutes and then losing by 10. So
Yeah. See, I predicted last year there was going to be an overall uptick in just the general skill of all the teams. And there seems to be a 12 months delay on that, where now we're seeing all those bottom teams sort of just pick themselves up a little bit. So the overall quality of the competition, I think, is getting that improvement now.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't know. I think we'll get less of the blowouts and stuff just as everyone sort of catches up and does their thing.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously I'm picking us by like 60 points, so I wouldn't. No point even asking me.
Yeah, Panthers 13 plus for me.
Yeah,
and moving on to this next one, I find it funny that some people are saying it's the game of the round when you look at their ladder positions. They're 15th and 16th. I know it's only one round, but they're 15th and 16th, and it's supposedly game of the round. I just find that fucking hilarious.
All right. Since it's come up, let's look at that ladder. Starting from 1 and going down: Panthers, Knights, Dragons, Storm, Broncos, Raiders, Eels, Bulldogs. That's your top 8. I'll log it in now.
My fate, yeah. I was saying to Ryan before we went on air chat that my favorite thing about after round 1 is how fucking upside down the ladder looks and just how ridiculous it looks. Like the Cowboys are in 9th. The Bulldogs are in 8th. The Broncos are in 5th. The Knights are in 2nd, and the Dragons are in 3rd. And then you've got 3 of last year's top 6 in the bottom 5, and it's like, what the hell is going on?
This thing is broken. Send it back for repairs.
National Sports Loaded tipped Dylan Edwards for man of the match, and he got it. Well, there you go. Good tip. Can you please tip?
Oh, nice.
Jackson Hastings for man of the match in Knights versus Tigers, please and thank you.
He's gonna milk this for all he can. But yeah, I don't know. I expect the Roosters to come good. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll tip the Roosters by 6 here.
Again, it's another one of those Manly not being able to lift again, or not being able to get the job done against the top teams. So I'm leaning towards the Roosters for that reason as well.
Yeah, well, as I said before, Manly's big thing against us seemed to be their fitness. They just died after, halfway through the first half. They look gassed. So I don't know if their preseason was underdone or something, but
overdone maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe they worked them too hard and they're just feeling it a bit and they need a bit of time to catch their breath. I don't know, but whatever it was, they looked gone physically. So, and I don't think they'll keep up with the Roosters. The Roosters are just too well drilled for it. They would have trained spot on to perfection. Their coaching's just too good and they got good players, so.
Yeah. I'm going Roosters 1 to 12 at the moment, leaning towards around 8 to 10 points. So
yeah,
see how that one goes.
It's one of those ones where there's the talent there to sort of blow out the game either way if they really were in the mood, but I don't know. We'll see. Saturday, 3 p.m. first game is Titans-Warriors. How do you feel about that?
This one I'm not sure about as yet. I do not know how this one's going to go. I'd have to say the Titans based on how many points they were able to score against the Eels, because their attack looks okay. But then again, defense, like we talked about, defense was almost non-existent in that game. So it's like, how much stock can you put into their attack when neither team really defended all that spectacularly?
Yeah, well, I think it'll come down to the Warriors' defense. Like you said, that we know the Titans can score points. That's what they did last year. They had good attack and poor defense. So they're obviously going to be working on the same this year, judging by round 1. So if the Warriors can defend them, then they'll win. Because I don't see the Titans defending themselves to win. They'll have to play the old game of no matter how much you score, we'll just score more.
I still think the Titans will win, but it'll be a close one. Like, no more than 4 points.
Yeah, I'll tip the Titans like 1-12 as well. I think they can do it. They've got still decent players, and Toby Sexton. I thought he had a really good game. He was really good, and he'll only get better, I reckon.
He really did.
So, yeah, he was pretty good. But they need Fafita to get involved more. Like, for a guy with so much talk around him and his salary and how good he is and all that, I don't know, he just... Last week, he didn't really... I don't know, I didn't really notice him much.
Yeah, no, not a lot. Not a lot happened. Not a lot of output from him, which was a bit weird.
And then we go to the second game on Saturday, which is NSL's Eels versus the Sharks. Which, I'll say straight up, I have no reservations about this one. I'm tipping the Eels straight up.
So, NSL, have you seen Nick from Australia's round 2 tips yet? Because if you haven't, I'm probably going to spoil something for you right now.
Uh-oh.
Something that I found interesting.
What
and
is
I wanted
that?
to get NSL's reaction about it. I do want to see if he cares if I spoil it or not, though.
Ah, I see. Spoiler alert. Well, yeah, I'll give my opinion while we wait for NSL. But yeah. Oh, here he goes. I'm scared this Saturday. I think you'll have them. Yeah, I think you'll get your groove going over time. Said I haven't seen Nick's tips yet.
You mind if I tell you what he says for this one, NSL, or would you prefer I not? Anyway, keep going with your thoughts while we wait for NSL
I
to
just
reply.
think the Eels will build up over the year. I think they'll be quality. I think it's next year they'll drop off a bit, but for now they'll be too good.
Yeah, they are losing a few players next year, and some of the players that are really going to cost them.
Oh, really? I did not know that. Eels haven't defeated Sharks at Shark Park since 2014, may I remind you. Wow.
Didn't you beat them there a few years back in what was a really high scoring game, like a 40-20 game or something? I feel like you did.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to get our stats lab onto that. Oh, that's right. We don't have anyone. It's just us.
The stats lab is me.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the spoiler. Nick has this thing where he will normally pick like a game or a team or two as his specials for the week. He's said the Sharks are one of his 2 specials for the week.
Wow.
So he thinks the Sharks are an absolute lock to beat the Eels in their first game at Shark Park in a
And I just got notified that Shut the Gates are doing their video like right now.
Okay. I'll have to tune into that after we wrap up.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Might be worth a second video this week to see everyone's things and maybe respond to them and see where we go.
Some tips.
Yeah.
How people have tipped.
Yes.
And how moronic we think they are.
And then it turns out
how moronic we are.
Yeah, and we'll say they're wrong, and then it turns out they're right and we're wrong, and it's usually the way it goes.
I'm just gonna. So while I'm looking for this, I think the Eels are gonna win again. It could be really close. It could be an absolute blowout. My concern at the moment is what will the Eels get away with the referees. That is, and I know it's not a particularly great outlook to have, but I don't know. I just feel like they were very well looked after by Atkins.
There's no home ground advantage this time, though, so there's a bit of a difference. The Eels all have a very good record at home. So, as NSL said, they haven't won since 2014.
Okay, no, I was wrong. Yeah, the Sharks beat the Eels 42-22 in 2019, which was at PointsBet.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sharks have home ground advantage there, so that'll probably go a long way.
They played all right there in the trial against the Dogs, but that was against the Dogs.
I'm still tipping the Eels.
There are going to be a lot more sterner tests than the Dogs at PointsBet. Let me see who they end up playing at PointsBet this year. So they've got the Eels there. They've got the Knights, the Tigers, Manly, the Warriors, the Roosters, the Storm, the Rabbits, the Dragons, and the Dogs. That's 11 of their home games are there. The only one that isn't there is the Titans at Coffs Harbour.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, it's their first home game.
Hey, welcome back, Justin.
There.
We missed you.
And like I said,
Aaron cried.
Sterner tests than the Bulldogs await them at home this year.
Yeah, especially the trials. Like, I mean, we got pumped by like 30 points. And then in the trials, and now look at us. It's, it's I don't think the players are too worried about that. And the clubs themselves, I don't know. NSL says, I think Eels 1-12. I'm going to say Opacek first try scorer. He's an interesting one because people either think he's decent or they absolutely hate him. I've noticed whenever his name gets mentioned. I'm like, what did he ever do to you? Did he like burn down your orphanage or something? I don't
Which is really sad.
Because I don't think he's ever done anything that bad. I don't think he's that bad of a footballer. He's a good squad filler.
No, exactly. And it's kind of sad. Like, it actually started last year. He came and played the Easter Monday game against the Tigers like a day or so after, I think it was his dad passed away. And everyone supported him that week. But then Eels fans just went back to ripping in to him after that. And I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah, it was a bit unusual.
What?
I don't know. I think he's, considering what we've seen with injuries and stuff, he's the kind of guy you want in your top 30.
His brother. I knew it was a family member of some sort. I wasn't sure who.
Yeah.
Car accident, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm still surprised he played that game, but
he scored a try in that game.
Yeah, hell of an effort to mentally be up for it. I think he deserves all the credit for that one.
And you could actually see how much it meant to him and how his team got around him when he scored that try against the Tigers on Easter Monday.
Yeah. That's good. It is a shame he's got the haters out there, but hey, he'll prove them wrong.
So does everyone, really.
Well, yeah, I think you can't really do something that's that public without it. Alright, so the last Saturday game is Cowboys-Raiders. Home game, Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't see them beating the Raiders after the Raiders got that win last week. I think the Raiders will be a little bit too good. Probably win 1-12, but closer to the 12 than to the 1 is what I'm leaning towards.
Though their half is out, I think. COVID. Give me one moment and I will double check. Raiders, no. Where are we? Trying to find it. Half Brad Schneider test positive. So I will just chuck this up. Oh, yep. Okay, I know why that is. That's frustrating. I tried to pull up the tweet, but it said the account owner limits who can see it, so I don't know who did the tweet. But yeah, so they're missing a half. So they'll be playing Williams, if I'm not mistaken. So take from that what you will with your tips.
Interesting.
Which Williams? I don't know. It's up to them. Maybe they can get like Serena or Venus or something. I don't know. I'm not sure if it hurts their chances or not. If Raiders play 80 minutes, they could be a great team from AJ. Yeah, well, that's their big thing. I mean, they don't get called the Faders for nothing. That's their biggest issue. But don't know. I'll still tip the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm tipping them as well. 10 to 12-ish.
They still try and play like a team a bit, whereas the Cowboys are still finding that groove. They play a lot more. They're like a bunch of individuals. They got some really good players in there, but I don't know. Maybe we should ask Nick from Australia. He's the Cowboys fan. What's going on there? I don't know. They look, to me at least, disjointed. Like they're not quite gelling, like, you know, like a team that hasn't got its combinations right yet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very weird, rusty performance, to say the least.
And for a team that has players like Val Holmes and Tamalolo and that, I would have expected them to be better. But just, I don't know. It just isn't coming right for them. And not trying to be mean. It just, I don't know. That's my take on them. They just look very disjointed.
They might get their crap together. Who knows?
Though I don't think Chad Townsend's the answer. I think Drinkwater should probably play.
It's not very often Nick tips against the Cowboys, seeing as they're his team.
Yeah.
But he said he's giving them one more chance. So if
Ouch,
they do
that
lose,
sounds like not good.
No. So we'll have to see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they lose, he might end up tipping the Broncos against them next week, which I would be very interested to see, to be honest.
That'd be interesting. Like, and if you drive your own fans to that, then you know something's up. Like when the diehards, and I think he's probably the most diehard of diehards for his team. I mean, he loves his team, and that's really cool. But if
okay, so the next game, the Bulldogs and the Broncos.
Yeah, I think the 4:00 game was cancelled by the sounds of it. They gave each team 1 point and said, on your way.
I'm just thinking to myself, who the hell do I tip in this one? This is one of those ones where I can justify going with my head as well as going with my heart. And those are the games that are going to be the hardest. Like, we have a good record against the Knights.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that's actually one of the games you won last year. And
we beat them twice.
Like,
Granted, both times we beat them, they were Kalen Ponga-less.
True. I don't know.
They aren't Kalen Ponga-less this time round from
Yeah.
what I can see.
So what is the head saying But we obviously know what the Heart's saying. The Heart's saying Tigers by all the points, and just handed the premiership trophy on Monday.
The head is saying it's gonna be close regardless. I don't see this one blowing out one way or another. I would absolutely love to be proven wrong and the Tigers blow them out of the park. But I do think it's going to be close. At the moment, I'm leaning towards tipping the Tigers. I feel like we showed enough in round one to say that we can take it to the teams that aren't the top six and give it a red hot crack. I'm just paranoid that we'll get a shit rubber the green again. Yeah.
Yes, in case anyone hasn't noticed, Aaron is very concerned about refereeing in the NRL.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit. I think there's a Broncos game a couple of years ago that's probably scarred him for life.
There is absolutely a Broncos game a few years ago that scarred me for life. It's also made me despise Ash Klein with a blind hatred. So
join the club. Most Panthers fans think he's the worst human being in the world who hates their club. We have like a 20% win record under him or something.
And then ridiculous. There's another one. Grant Atkins, the ref who reffed our rematch against the Eels at Bankwest last year, as well as the Eels game at Bankwest on the weekend. Apparently he has family connections to the Eels and he keeps getting their games, and that frustrates me beyond belief.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's the one, I can't remember who it is now, the one that they always say, oh, he's the Penrith junior ref and all that, and he's Penrith bias and all that. And the funny thing is, it might be the same ref you're talking about there, where him and his family are actually Eels fans.
Yeah, I think it's the same one. I'm pretty sure he has connections to both the Panthers and the Eels.
Yeah, his only connection to Penrith is that he refed in Western Sydney, basically, in the area that comes under Penrith. It's not actually a connection to the club itself. It's a connection to the referee, like the referees that come up through that area. And I think
that's the family connections to the Eels.
Yeah, because obviously they have to start somewhere refereeing, right? So you'd come up through whatever your local comps are or whatever it is. So every ref has come up through an area that is rugby league heartland somewhere.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. So he's not actually he's I don't think he's ever been officially associated with Penrith Panthers Football Club. But yes, Justin, we'll move on to the next game. No, yeah. I haven't said who I'm tipping.
Before we do, the other, remember how I said Nick from Australia has two specials for the week?
The Tigers are his for this one, isn't it?
Yes.
What happened? We rattled him. We rattled him.
We're living in the Matrix, people.
Yeah, we rattled him when we responded. Nah. All love here. All love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love the passion that he has. He gets excited, and that's fun to watch.
We all do. We all get excited.
Which is why I found it very interesting that he's kind of being the way he is on his own team. He's one of the more passionate people out there about his stuff. So it's interesting to see that they must have really pushed him. Not Fluma.
Yes.
First try scorer.
I convinced NSL. Yes.
He's done it.
My powers of persuasion. I am the new Voldemort.
There we go. It looks like it's done. Sorry, Knights. You've been done. You've been had by chat.
Last one before we wrap it up for the night.
Yeah, but I'm going to back the Tigers on that. I'll say by 4 again. And we'll
leaning
see.
Towards the Tigers at the moment. I'm tentatively saying Tigers by 6, but I'm going to reserve the rest of my tip.
Yeah.
For when we like when we have a bit of a better idea of the team lists and how I feel the team's actually looking on the day.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going hard overhead one on that one, but because the Knights were very
AJ
good
12
last
first
week.
try scorer.
Imagine
Hashtag
that.
try for 12. Let's go. Although I hope not, because 12's on the bench. I hope we actually score some points before he gets on the field.
Well, yeah, you don't be waiting all that time. Yes, we'll get on to the last game. Yeah, I said I'm worried about the Knights on that one, but we'll see. Bulldogs, Broncos, Justin's mighty Broncos. Who I think are going to win pretty convincingly. I think I kind of feel for the Bulldogs on this, but I think they're going to get done. I'm going to call 13 plus for the Broncos here.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Broncos aren't world beaters or anything, but they look like they're playing as a team and they're playing with energy. And just that, I think, will overwhelm the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and getting Adam Reynolds back is the big thing there. And yeah, I think the Broncos are essentially going to condemn the Bulldogs to an 0-6 start to the season.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Bulldogs. I don't want that. It's just I'm expecting
It's hard to see anything else, really.
Yeah. It's gonna take them time to get their stuff together. They got a lot of new signings, and it's just gonna take time to gel. And the Broncos look like they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Even if they're not, gonna win the comp, they look like they're ready to at least have a better year than they've been having.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts?
Broncos by, how many am I going to say? I'm going to say 8 for now. See how it goes.
Ooh, very specific. They're getting a penalty in there somewhere, and I guarantee you it's Jack Hetherington.
I was saying, actually, speaking of Jack Hetherington, I was saying to Dad on the weekend while I was up there, I find it funny how, like, this whole judiciary thing, how they're changing it so that everyone has a clean slate and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, like, everyone going into the new season has a clean slate, yet Jack Hetherington still got sent to the sin bin in his first game for the year.
I know, and it wasn't even for anything dirty. It was just the referee kept warning them about offside, and he was offside from the scrum, so he sent him off. He gave him 10, and it's like, you're just a magnet for this, aren't you? He must have been so disappointed.
Yeah, it amuses me beyond belief.
Because it didn't even have to like do anything really terribly wrong, like a high tackle or something. Still gets
exactly.
It. All right, there we are. So, any final thoughts you want to leave?
No, the mighty Tigers.
The mighty-ish Tigers.
The better be mighty Tigers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for Aaron's health and well-being at this point.
My sanity, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think he can't handle the stress. All right, guys.
I'd rather us not have one win from our first 7 games this year. That would be bad, to say the least.
Yeah. I will say for the record, I think if they play consistently to the level they did against the Storm, I think they'll be in the top 8.
I'm going to cross my fingers and my toes and my eyes and everything else I can possibly cross that you're right.
Yeah, because I don't think that was bad by any stretch. I know people are upset and everything, and I go back to that, the way Rob was. I think it was good signs, win or lose. Yeah. I think there was enough there to say they're improving. And as well, you've still got Adam Dewey to come back. So
yeah,
it's a case of, where there is life, there is hope, as they say.
No, AJ.
No. No.
Don't make me block you, AJ.
I do wonder if they'll ever live that one down.
No, I probably not. But when I've seen so many ladder predictions tip us for 9th or tip us for last, and I'm just like, you're literally just taking the easy way out. You're taking the meme way out. Like, actually have a bit more substance to your tips. Come on, people.
Yeah, it's the meme. We all like a good meme.
Yeah, not Tigers fans though. We are less fans. Less fans of said memes.
An undisclosed amount of time without playing finals will be upsetting to anybody.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's as long ago as I graduated school, and that's horrifying.
Yes. But no, good luck to everyone this week, honestly. With a bit of luck, no injuries or suspensions.
Good luck to everyone except the Knights.
Yes. But yeah, like I said, the main thing is no injuries. Holy crap, round 1 was really bad for it. And the trials copped 1 or 2 here and there too. So hopefully everyone stays healthy, everyone tips well, and everyone's happy. And yeah, make sure you've liked, you're subscribed, you get the belly thing clicked, share the video around, the link, put the link in places so people can see it, bring more viewers in, get chat going. And even if they watch it the day after or whatever, who cares? We will respond to comments, believe it or not. We just don't really get any yet. But yes.
So many of the NRL YouTubers have already posted their tipping videos.
Like I've seen Nick, there's Warriors NRL Fanatics, CT Dingo, Rugby League History. There was another one I saw just before. Who was it? It was Jai's stuff. That this, like, as soon as team lists are out, they're all like, "Yep, let's go."
Yeah. Right. I think we'll call it a night at 2 hours and 24 minutes.
We've done well, I reckon.
Yeah, we've done well, but we might see us again later this week. We'll see. We'll see what time does. We'll have a little corporate meeting and see what's what.
If time allows.
Yes.
We'll our very own RLPA. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss with the union first. All right. Night, everybody, and best of luck.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Yep. Good luck to everyone's teams over the weekend, and
yes, we love having you here.
See you all back next week.
Bye.